Welcome to episode 415 of the Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, which is where this episode and every episode show notes will be. And I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea, where I sell my handspun yarns and knitting patterns. Hi, how are you? It is Monday, March 20th. I am coming to you on my lunch break. And it has been a good week, I guess. I don't have a ton to tell you. I was super lazy over the weekend. The weekend was full of lots of naps. The weather has gotten cold, and so I am staying indoors and cozying up and crafting. As always, I don't feel like I got enough done in crafting, but I did spend some time crafting this week, so I have some things to show you. And yeah, I think this one will probably be kind of a short one. I have been fairly monogamous. I'm only, well, I guess not monogamous, but I'm only working on 2 projects right now. So I've made quite a bit of progress on those, but I don't have a ton to show you other than that. So today's tea is French cookie. It is from Friday afternoon, and it is black tea with sliced almonds, orange peels, natural vanilla, and almond flavorings. So, and she is at fridaytea.com, and I have had several of hers. They're really, really yummy. This one has big almond slices, and then it looks like bits of orange peel in there. So it's really tasty, and I'm drinking it today in my roastery mug, which is a local Kansas City coffee roaster, but I am drinking tea today. And it tastes really good. I just added just a little bit of sweetener, and it's definitely got notes of vanilla and orange. It's lovely, and a little bit of almond. So let's talk about what I've been working on. I have no finished objects, but I am working on lots of things. So, well, I guess I'm working hard on the few things that I'm working on. I am working on the Linen True shawl. It's Linientreu by Uta Narwatil, Nawratil. All of the information is in the show notes on my blog at thecornerofknitandtea.com. I don't believe that one is linked because I think the pattern is only available on Ravelry. So there isn't a link, but the full information is there. So if you are able to use Ravelry, you can purchase that pattern. This is a sample for Zen Yarn Garden, and I am knitting it in their new glitter base. It's super fine merino, and it's 90% super fine merino and 10% stellina. And I am knitting it in 2 slightly different put-ups, but it is the same base in both put-ups. Let me see if I can find my cards. So, nope, that's not the right card. I don't remember what I did with the... Let's see. Okay, so it's the super fine base, like I said. It's 90% merino and 10% sparkling nylon, which is stellina. And I'm using 2 colorways, one of which is their undyed, the Au Naturel, and it's a little hard to see the sparkle in this one, but you can see it better in the glitter cake, which is 680 yards, and it is in the Inferno colorway. And I know that as I tilt it, you can see the little bits of silver and sparkle. It's definitely sparkly, but it's not overwhelmingly sparkly. I mean, you won't miss it if you look at it, but it's also not like glaringly blingy, like you can't miss me. And I would say I'm probably about halfway through this cake, and the cake just did the same thing in the opposite direction. So it started at black in the center and then went through this kind of dark red and then into orange, very much like flames and really cool looking. So I do have, it's still in plastic. I was going to say I still have a pristine cake. I'll show that next time. So I have been working on this for a while now, and I am about halfway through the second row of triangles. So if you'll remember, this design is made up of modular triangles and then some garter stripes. And so I have been working through it. The first week I worked on the top set of triangles, which was these 3. And then I did some garter stripes in the 2 colors. And now I am working on the next row of triangles. And now these will lay roughly flat after blocking, but they are modular. You knit them kind of one at a time and then pick up and start knitting the next one with one or two of the sides of the others. And so I am making really good progress. I have knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that is the 6 is the halfway point. So I am just over halfway on that part, and then there will be more garter rows and some shaping. So it's going to be a decent sized shawl. It's already probably half my wingspan, so we'll get a little closer to my wingspan, and I think it's going to block nicely and relax quite a bit and be a really lovely shawl. And as you can see, we're starting to get the gradient in there. Now, this was written to be used with shorter gradients than one long gradient, so I was interested to see how it was going to work, because in the original pattern it was, I think, Milla Baby Fiori, and so each triangle kind of had a gradient going on within it, and this is definitely a lot more subtle, but you can see as I move towards the center, we're definitely moving towards orange, and then we'll be moving back out. And I don't know exactly how the spacing is going to work and exactly where the colors are going to line up, but I think it will be interesting to see. And I may need to break into the second gradient cake, which is why I have it, because I believe the yardage that is called for the contrasting color is close to 800 yards, and this cake is 680. So I believe I will need to just break into the next one. I only have one skein of this, and I think that will be enough. My contrasting color, I think, is only 400 yards. So that is where I am on this one. I plan to get a lot of work done on this week, and my hope is that maybe by the time I come to you next time, I might be done knitting this one. That might be a little bit of a big ask, but I will say that next weekend I'm gonna have a ton of knitting time, because next weekend I am participating in the Knit for Food Knit-a-thon. This is my third year participating. It raises money for 4 charities whose aim is to reduce food insecurity, and it is hosted by Laura Nelkin. And like I said, this is the third year I've done it, and so on Sunday I will be knitting from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. in a 12-hour knitting marathon, like I said, to raise funds. I will put a link in the description box below if you would like to learn more about the event and or if you would like to support me. You can make donations. All of the donations that are made, 100% of the money goes straight to the 4 charities picked, which are World Central Kitchen, No Kid Hungry, Meals on Wheels, and I always forget the 4th. And I can't remember the 4th, but there are 4 food charities that they donate to, and like I said, our goal is to reduce food insecurity worldwide, and the last 2 years we have raised $250,000, which is wonderful, and we may be on track to raise more this year. Laura is tentatively setting the goal at $300,000, and like I said, all of those funds are divided 4 ways between the charities. So it is a significant donation. It's something cool to do. For me, I just like it, I love knitting, so why not add a great cause to it? So my thought is I might be able to finish this weekend, because I plan to spend a lot of time knitting on Sunday, and if so, I might be able to crank through. I do think I'm also going to knit for charity as part of what I'm doing on Sunday. And that is, I will knit my yellow pair of socks for Knit the Rainbow. I haven't started those yet, but I decided that would be a great project to work on. So I think those will be my 2 projects for the day, and I will post about some progress. I don't know precisely when I'm going to podcast next weekend. I don't know if I'm going to take a break during the day, which I really hate to do because I'm meant to be knitting all day. So I don't know if I'll podcast on Saturday, or I might just podcast on Monday again. I'm still figuring out my schedule and what works best, and so I'll probably bop between Sunday and Monday for the next few months and see what works the best. So this is the Linen True Shawl. I am knitting it on a US 4, which is what the pattern calls for, and it is going to be a sample for Zen Yarn Garden, and there will be kits eventually, but this is their new glitter sock base, and you can see, you can definitely see the bits of stellina in there. So that is the first project on my needles. The second project on my needles, as I discussed with you last week, is I said I was going to get a sock on the needles, and I wasn't sure whether I was going to get the yellow socks on the needles or make the second of my Christmas socks. And so I decided to save the yellow socks for the charity knitting during the Knit for Food Knit-a-thon. And so I went ahead and started on my Christmas socks. So this was the first Christmas sock that I knit. It is in some hand spun, which was Hello Yarn fibers, and it was called Not Crying. It had nothing to do with Christmas holidays, but because it was gold and green and red, I thought it really made a great Christmas sock. And I finished this one. I don't know why I made the ribbing so long, but I really liked it. And I finished this one, I think, the first week in January, which is not atypical for me, but then I put it down and didn't do the second because I was working on some other projects that I wanted to get done. And so when I was cleaning up the couch, I found this on there and I was like, wow, I never finished that second sock. And I'm not really a second sock syndrome person. So obviously I had something else probably to knit for commission or, you know, for work. So I went ahead and started that this week, and last night I turned the heel. So I am maybe halfway, maybe not quite halfway through the sock, and this one has a red toe. They're obviously going to be fraternal socks, not completely matching, but I'm knitting David Schultz's Toe Up Sock Recipe, and I am knitting those on, I think these are US 1s, which is 2.25, I think, needles. And I am just doing his toe up pattern, and then the only change that I made is I did a slip stitch heel flap. So toe up with gusset and heel flap, and then I will be working up the rest of the sock, and I have definitely more yarn here. I have lots of gold, but I also have some more green and red, so I'm excited about that. And I am just sort of eyeballing and matching. I did count some rows, but we'll just have to see how this goes. So I think maybe I'll get this one done this week. I don't know. Sadly, the Linen True, because of the way the blocks are shaped, I kind of have to be paying attention to do that. And I've tried to knit it at midnight twice and have failed. What I end up with, because the triangles are knit from the out in, and so there are decreases, and I haven't paid attention. I've just kept knitting and not done my decreases, and so the triangles haven't come out right. And there's only so much of that you can fudge. I mean, you can, if you miss one decrease, you can sort of fudge that on the next round. If you miss a bunch of decreases, it's really hard to fudge that and have the lines on the triangle look appropriate. So, so I finally gave up, and so I've been working on this sock the last couple knit nights. So I might finish this week, depending on how much I knit online, you know, while I'm on Zoom calls or whatever else, because it is a roundy. I will increase just a couple stitches along the calf to give room for my calf, and then it will be lots of 2x2 rib up at the top. So I don't know if this will be finished this week, but I'm pleased because I am on the way to making good progress. And honestly, if I put this down so I can knit the yellow socks next Sunday, and I think I can knit a pair of worsted weight socks in a day, then I will be fine finishing these next week. So, you know, it's not a huge time crunch. I just wanted to get a few things off the needles before I start casting on again. So that is all the knitting content for this week. I am itching to cast on a sweater for myself, and I just haven't decided if I'm going to do that next or if I'm going to try and get started on the kids' sweaters next. Like I said, I'm itching to cast on a sweater for myself. However, the yarn that I want to use is really warm yarn. It is the yarn that I got in my trip to Norway. And I have a sweater pattern picked out. I have not swatched for it yet, but I'm kind of anxious to do that. But I also feel like starting a brand new sweater in late March is kind of a weird thing to do because we're going to get into warmer and warmer weather. And as soon as I finish it, it's going to be way too hot to wear it. So I haven't decided precisely what I'm going to do yet, but more on that once I finish a few more things. I still have several samples to do for Zen Yarn Garden. They just keep sending me yarn. So I have at least 2 more shawl samples here at home, and she's also talked to me about a third. So when I finish that, I will definitely cast on something else for that, but I haven't decided what my project for me is going to be, and I think it might be a sweater. I don't know. I might end up waiting until the fall and just doing it for Nanny Swaymo, but I really like to knit a sweater. So we'll see. So let's talk about spinning real fast. I'm going to take a quick sip of tea. I don't have a ton to show you on spinning, so it will be a short spinning section, and then I will let you go. So I did finish spinning. I think I was ready to ply when I talked to you last. I did finish spinning this skein from LL Yarn Co. Sadly, they are now out of business, but I picked it up before they closed. And this is a skein of 100% superwash merino in the colorway Chromatic Aberration, which is blues. If this skein looks a little funky, it's because it has not been washed and thwacked yet. I meant to do that this week and just did not get to it. So it is all kinds of blues, and to me, it comes off very much like a skein of a denim colorway. Now, because this is superwash merino, it would be fine for socks or other accessories. It's not super soft, but I think it will soften up some as I wash it. I might have overspun it a little bit, which would make it okay for socks, but also doesn't make it as soft as possible. I don't want to say it feels crunchy because it's not quite that level, but it is a little bit stiff. So I'm going to wash this as soon as I am done chatting with you. And so this will be up in the shop later this week if that is something that interests you. So I did, however, get to start spinning a new spin this week, and that was some fiber that I pulled from Hello Yarn. It was a club fiber, and it was from October, and the name of the fiber was kind of Halloween themed. It was Double Double Toil and Trouble, and it is lots of oranges and russets and a little bit of yellow and a little bit of purple or lavender in there. So I have been working on this. This is the second half of the fiber. I have the first half already spun up, and my plan is to hopefully finish this week and then ply it, and by the next time I come to you, maybe have another skein of finished yarn. So that is what I have been working on this week, and I'm really liking the colors. I ordered a few more bumps of fiber this week, so I have a few things coming in, so I'm not sure what I'm going to pick next. I'm pretty sure it will take me the rest of the week to spin the second half of the singles and ply this one, and then I will think about what comes next. I started thinking about the other day that we're only a few months away from Tour de Fleece. I know this year is just flying by. We are almost to the end of March and the first quarter, and while I realize that so Tour de Fleece isn't till July and the kids' birthdays aren't till October, I feel like as soon as I turn around, it's going to be those months, and I'm not going to know what to do with myself. So I have lots and lots of making plans, and hopefully I'll get into them more this week and have more to show you next week. So thanks for hanging out with me. I hope that you are having a lovely week ahead. As I said, I'm not exactly sure when I'll podcast next weekend because I do have the Knit for Food-a-thon, and I will put the link below if you want to learn more about it. You can still join us, or if you would like to make a donation, I would be most appreciative of that, and thank you to those of you who have already done that. And I will say until I see you again, happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye.